स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Bowing down at the feet of Lord Ramakrishna, Mother Sharda Devi and Swami Vivekananda, I offer my heartfelt namaskar to all of you. There was one Bhagavata Katha going on. You know, Bhagavata is the famous scripture in which there is the explanation of different avatars of Lord Vishnu, and also, very importantly, the life and birth and everything of Lord Krishna. While that lecture or the katha was going on by the traditional Pandit, Pandit asked the people who were there, now you have heard so much about Vaikuntha, Swarga, heaven, where Vishnu lives, heaven. So who all of you want to go to heaven? Then so many people raised their hands. There was a family, all the family had come there. There was a young daughter-in-law in that family, mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, all raised their hands except this young daughter-in-law. Then this Pandit was surprised. Why is this daughter? All in your family wants to go to heaven or Vaikuntha. You alone are not wanting, you are not raised your hands. She told, if father-in-law, mother-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law all go to heaven, then here my house will be heaven for me. I need not go to the heaven. So likewise, we have to make our living place here heaven, not waiting for to go to the heaven after death. As I have told many times, when I had come newly to South Africa in 2017, I got a WhatsApp message from India. And where was that message from? From Cape Town. It went to India. What was there in Cape Town? There was a garage, a petrol bunk. On that they have a board, and every day they go on giving quotations, some quotations, beautiful quotations. So somebody photographed that and put it on the WhatsApp, social media, and it went on spreading. It went to India, and from India, somebody sent it to me. What was that? On the board, it was written in that petrol bunk or the garage. You know, in Christians, you have the thing that when somebody dies on the grave, they will put RIP. You know what is meant by that? RIP means rest in peace. Now he's asking the question, why do you want to rest in peace? Why can't you live in peace? All of us are interested in resting in peace after death. But while we are living, we quarrel and fight and jealousies and so much of what you call angularities. So here, that person is asking on that board, why do you want to rest in peace after death? Why can't you live in peace? That is what Sri Ramakrishna has come down to show how to live in peace here. Now, you all know the recorder of gospel. Who is he? Anybody? Recorder of gospel? Mahendranath Gupta. His short name was Yam. He didn't want to show off about himself, so he was hiding himself. So he had written, he used to everywhere write as Yam. People used to lovingly call him as Master Mahashay because he was a teacher. But his real name was Mahendranath Gupta. So why did I take up this thing? Yesterday, that is 7th, today is 8th, isn't it? So yesterday, July 7th, was the Punya Tithi, the birth Tithi, not the English calendar or the Gregorian calendar, but the Punya Tithi of Mahendranath Gupta. So I felt like sharing some few things by which it will benefit us. That's why I took up this. And why did I take up this particular humor in the beginning itself? Let us see why. Now, Mahendranath Gupta or Yam, now he has written the gospel and he has become popular. He's become very old. During his summer vacation, Yam. He used to always call himself as Yam. So let me call him as Yam. Yam went for a retreat at the Gadadhar Ashram in South Calcutta. We should know that he was born in 1854. Gregorian calendar, the date is 14th July. When is 14th July? Today is 8, another 4-5 days. But we celebrated the Janma Tithi according to the Hindu calendar. So now, after Ramakrishna has finished the avatara, he was living, he was old man. Master Mahashari Yam went for a retreat, spiritual retreat at the Gadadhar Ashram in South Calcutta. One night at 10 o'clock, he returned to his residence at the Morton Institution. His wife and children lived on the 3rd floor. Many people go to Calcutta, you go to Belur Math and then you go to Dakshineshwar, they take you to, in the Calcutta trip where Master Ramakrishna visited the places, they will take to Master Mahashay's house, Yam's house also. If you remember, you have a picture, you will see it is a tall building, congested area, gully, you have to go in the gullies, then a tall building, 4 or 5 floors. So now, his wife and children lived in the 3rd floor, and he, Master, lived in an attic room on the 4th floor. Yam had not eaten supper that night. That was 10 o'clock. Now, one Swami, later on, Nityatmananda, who was serving him, would be always with him, was with him, taking him and bringing him, was about to waken Yam's wife so that she could prepare the supper. But Yam forbade him to do so. When Swami Nityatmananda insisted, Yam begged him, please allow me to obey the behest of Master. How is it connected? What if his wife wakes up and cooks the supper to him? How will it disturb the teaching of Sri Ramakrishna? See, now that's why it's very, very important how we hear the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and put it into practice. Rather, we don't put it into practice at all. We hear as some story and forget it. We hear through this ears and leave it out through the other ears. We never put it into practice. Or even if we put it into practice with our puny or little understanding, we may use it a little. See the depth of the practice of Master Mahashai, you will enjoy it. You have to now focus on the happenings now. When Nityatmananda was about to awaken Yam's wife so that she could prepare a meal, Yam forbade him to do so. When Nityatmananda insisted, Yam begged him, not ordered him or begged him, pleaded him, please allow me to obey the behest of Master. Why? How are you breaking if I wake up your wife? Wife is there to cook for you. How will I break the Master's behest? Now, Master, that is Yam, explains what is Sri Ramakrishna used to tell for the householders and other people how to live in this world. Live like a maid servant, isn't it? You should live in this world like a maid servant. How? How does the maid servant behave in the house of the owner or somebody where she goes to work? She takes care of the master, the wife, the husband and the children, as if they're all of her own family. She will look after the children, calling her, oh Krishna, oh Aditya, all the children, or if it's a girl, oh Sita, as if they're all her own children, son or daughter. With so much of care, she will take care. The maid servant, even the wife, everybody, she will take care. But in the heart of her heart, she knows her real house is in the village. Her real children, her husband, all are in the village in her home. This is only temporary, which I have come here to just earn some money, do some work. So she knows in the heart of heart that these people are not my own. But my real family is in the house, in the village. Likewise, all of us have to live in the family with your father, mother, brother, sister, wife, husband, children, everybody, like a maid servant. How? Ramakrishna tells you should know one or the other day, you have to leave them. They will leave you. When the father and mother become old, they have to die. Wife has to part. Husband has to part. Children have to part. When they marry, the children and wife and everybody, sorry, the other daughter, belong to. So Ramakrishna tells, likewise, you should live in the family like a maid servant. So we hear this teaching. How much have we understood? That's not now important now, but what was the understanding, the depth of understanding of Master Mahashai or Yam, and how much had he put it into practice? Now he's telling, Yam begged him, please allow me to obey the behest of Master. Why? If a maid servant, now Master is told, I'm a householder, not me. Master Yam is telling, I'm telling inverted commas. So I'm a sannyasin from my 18th year. So I was in the pre-monastic, this thing, in the 17th year in my family. So youth at that time, whatever. I gave up everything and came to the feet of Master at the age of 18, whatever that might be. Now, Master Mahashai is telling, he's a householder. What has Master told? You should live like a maid servant. If a maid servant arrives at a house, the owner's house or at a house, at the dead of the night or at 10 o'clock, does the mistress of the house cook for that maid servant? No. Now, the wife whom he calls his wife, Ramakrishna is telling you should live like a maid servant. And then who will become the wife? She will be the mistress, the owner of the house. Now, can you wake up her while she's sleeping? You are the maid servant, you're gone to the house. How can I wake up? I can't, because I'm a maid servant. So that was the depth of the teaching of Ramakrishna that he used to put it into practice. Yam. Now, if a maid servant arrives at a house at night, does mistress cook for her? Now, Nityatmananda told, sir, then what will you eat? Yam told, the sweet shop in the corner of the street is still open. Please buy some hot milk and a piece of Punjabi bread for me. Thus he had his supper. Yam provided the necessities of all of life for his wife and children, and also served the devotees by sharing with them his knowledge and devotion. He provided everything. As a householder, he has to do the duty, he has to look after. With great care, everything he looked after them. But the teaching of the master, live like a maid servant, he was perfectly following it. See, today we got a deeper idea of what is the teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, because he had put it into practice. Now, further, let us hear some more deeper aspect of the understanding of Yam. What is this? He also served the devotees. How did he serve all the devotees who used to come to him? By sharing with them his knowledge given by master and devotion. That's why today we have the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. He explained the true meaning of service. We all go there because we want limelight. Whenever there is camera, whenever a lot of people, we go and do a lot of work. Why? The camera will catch us, will come in the photograph and people will notice me. But nobody is there. Come for Karma Yoga, nobody is there, only few are there. Why? No limelight, no camera. We conducted Karma Yoga before the 80th year. Nobody came, only few came. Why? No limelight, no camera, nobody to recognize you. But how to do the service? Here, service to other means that one must know that God dwells in all beings. When serving others, one is truly serving God. One should do it oneself and not through others. I'll be supervising, I will tell, I'll be commanding, hey, you do that, you do that. No, Master M is telling that I should do myself the service. Why? I should see God in all the living beings and then serve. Now, the question arises. I will tell an incident which happened in Mysore. I lived in Bangalore for long years in ashrama. But Mysore, there is one residential school and college. There the children live there. Children are very naughty and full of pranks and full of life. No, they ask a lot of questions because they don't go outside. They stay inside. All the energy is conserved. Now, the Swamijis have to take care of them. The warden, everybody will be Swamijis. They will be taking care of them. They have to go here and there, look after them. You know, children are very, very mischievous, especially bachelors, the unmarried up to, bachelor degree and other things. Until then, the children are called bachelors. Anybody, male or bachelors, even when you are giving the degree to the female also, you tell bachelor degree, not spinster's degree, whatever that might be. Bachelors, in Sanskrit, brahmachari. You know, the Sanskrit saying, brahmachari shatamarkataha. One brahmachari or a bachelor from the age of 7 to anybody for that sake, up to the married life for 21 or 23. What is equal to 100 monkeys, it is told. Sanskrit saying is one brahmachari. Brahmachari shatamarkataha. Shata means 100 monkey markata. So they have so much of energy and mischief and everything, so much of life. 100 monkeys, they are equal to 100 monkeys. Now, these children, they came to that Swamiji or the warden or that teacher there and asked, sir, Ramakrishna teaches us and Vivekananda teaches that you have to see God in all the living beings and serve them. But why, sir, when we do the mistakes, you beat us? You punish us? That teacher or that warden was very intelligent. No. We are not punishing or beating the God in you. We are punishing or beating the devil in you. We are punishing only the devil. So likewise, you have to see God and serve. That is the important thing. Then don't go to the extremes of practice and get into trouble. And then tell, oh, Swamiji, you have told that teaching and see, we put that into practice and we got into trouble. Ramakrishna in the gospel has told everything, is covered, every gamut of it. It tells in tiger, in the lion also, Narayana is there. Narayana is present in everybody. But don't go and embrace a tiger or a lion. So tiger Narayana or lion Narayana, do pranams from far off. Don't go near and embrace, because Narayana is in the tiger and the lion too. If you embrace it, it will also take you inside and make you more deeper into its stomach. So don't go to embrace tiger, though Narayana is there. Whatever that might be, we are deviated now. Service to others means that one must know that God dwells in all the beings. When serving others, one is truly serving God. One should do it oneself and not through others. The greatest devotee sees God within himself. So he serves the indwelling God who is himself, seeing that God who is himself in everybody, he serves them. So now there is another aspect of the teachings of Ramakrishna and understanding Ramakrishna through this special incidents. What is that? Have you heard of Paul Brunton? Paul Brunton, anybody? It was the pen name, or he had taken that name. His real name was Raphael Hurst. He was born 21st October 1898, 27 July 1981. He gave up his body. He was a British author of many spiritual books, especially of East. He is best known as one of the early popularizers of Neo-Hindu spiritualism in Western esotericism in the Western world, notably via his best-selling, what is the book? Best-selling book, A Search in Secret India. It was written in 1934. He's written so many such books, A Search in Secret India, The Secret Path, A Search in Secret Egypt. He's traveled to all the countries of the world and he was seeking spirituality there. So he was the one who came to he met so many sadhus and special gurus in India. In 1930, Hurst or Paul Brunton embarked on a voyage to India, which brought him into contact with Meher Baba, Paramacharya of Kanchipuram, Vishuddhananda Paramahamsa, and Ramana Maharshi. At the great realized soul Paramacharya's insistence, he met Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, which led to a turn of events culminating in revealing Ramana to the Western world. Ramana Maharshi became popular in the Western world. Hers first visit to Ramana Maharshi's ashram took place in 1931. Hurst asked several questions, including, what is the way to God realization? And Ramana Maharshi said, Vichara, discrimination, asking yourself, who am I? If you go on searching who you are, then you will get that God inquiry into the nature of yourself. Whatever that might be, how is it connected now to our subject here about this Paul Brunton? Yes, while he was searching for truth everywhere, he came and met this Master Mahashay or Mahendranath Gupta in his house. So now he gives an explanation of what transpired between them. It is really revealing and wonderful. You will enjoy it. Paul Brunton, a meeting with Mahendranath Gupta. Now, let us hear from the mouth of beautiful English, because he was an English author. So you know his English is beautiful. He's a British author. I am now in Calcutta itself, searching for the house of Master Mahashay, the aged disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. Passing through the open courtyard, which adjoins the street, I reach steep flight of steps leading to a large, rambling old house. I climb up a dark stairway and pass through the low door on the top story. If you go to the house of Master Mahashay, you can see all this. So nicely he has explained, because see, he's a writer. I find myself in a small room, which opens out onto the flat, terraced roof of the house. Two of its walls are lined with low divans, save for the lamp, because at that time it was somewhere 1930 or some, at that time maybe, or even earlier to that. So only lamp was there, the oil lamp or the kerosene lamp. Save for the lamp and a small pile of books and papers, the room is otherwise bare. A young man enters and bids me wait for the coming of his master, who is on a lower floor. 10 minutes pass. I hear the man's footsteps going up the stairs. A venerable patriarch has stepped from the pages of the Bible, and a figure from Mosaic times has turned to flesh. This man with bald head, long white beard, and white mustache, grave countenance, and large reflective eyes. This man, whose shoulders are slightly bent with the burden of nearly 80 years of mundane existence, can be none other than the Master Mahashaya. He takes his seat on a divan. It's just like a couch of olden days. That's called divan in Hindi. So he takes his seat on a divan and then turns his face towards mine. In that grave, sober presence, I realize instantly that there can be no light persiflage, no bandying of wit or humor, no utterance even of the harsh cynicism and dark skepticism which overshadow my soul from time to time. His character, with its commingling of perfect faith in God and nobility of conduct, is written in his appearance for all to see. He addresses me in perfectly accented English. You are welcome here. He bids me come closer and take my seat on the same divan on which he was sitting. He holds my hand for a few moments. I deem it expedient to introduce myself and explain the object of my visit. When I concluded speaking, he presses my hand again in a kindly manner and says, "It is the higher power which has stirred you to come to India." Because she was so deeply engrossed in spirituality and used to practice and think of Ramakrishna always, he used to live in the presence of Sri Ramakrishna and he used to talk with Sri Ramakrishna. I will give you one more incident about that. What is that? When M. after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, visited Dakshineshwar once. M visited the master's room, the Panchavati where Sri Ramakrishna used to practice sadhana, spiritual practices, and the bel tree, bel tala. He was in a different mood, as if he was in the company of Sri Ramakrishna. He used to always move and talk with Sri Ramakrishna. One day, arrangement was made to take a group photograph in front of the Kali temple. M sat on the terrace and a devotee tried to sit next to him. He stopped him. M told him, "No, you can't sit here." Why? The master is sitting here. Master sat here. We are sitting around him. The photographer is taking his photo, not ours. So he used to feel the presence of Sri Ramakrishna always. That was the depth of spirituality. So Ramakrishna was always with him. So now, the moment he touched the hand of this person, he's telling, maybe Ramakrishna had revealed him to Paul Brunton. He's telling, what is that? It is a higher power which has stirred you to come to India and which is bringing you in contact with the holy men of our land. It is the will of the Lord. There is a real purpose behind that. And the future will surely reveal it. Await it patiently. Will you now, Paul Brunton, he had gone to him to get some spiritual nuggets of truth. So he's asking, will you please tell something about your master, Sri Ramakrishna? Now, his face lit up. Master Mahashaya, or Yam's face lit up. Now you raise a subject about which I love best to talk. It is nearly half a century since he left us, but his blessed memory can never leave me. Always it remains fresh and fragrant in my heart. See now, by the explanation and the English given by Paul Brunton, because he's a great author, you'll feel the character of Sri Ramakrishna in a different way, his teachings in a different way. You'll enjoy it now. Now, always the memory of Master remains fresh and fragrant in my heart. I was 27 when I met him for the first time and was constantly for the last 5 years of his life. The result was that I became a changed man. My whole attitude towards life was reversed. Such was the strange influence of this God-man, Sri Ramakrishna. He threw a spiritual spell upon all who visited him. He literally charmed them, fascinated them. Even materialistic persons, non-believers of God, who came to scoff, became dumb in his presence. Even materialistic people, non-believers, who came in contact with Sri Ramakrishna, who came to him deliberately to scoff and tease him, they became dumb in his presence. Once a rowdy came to beat him, but he became a saint by the touch of Sri Ramakrishna. Manmatha, his name was Manmatha. His life is said, whenever chance comes, I will read his life. He was a rowdy. He was sent somebody gave him the money and was asked to beat Sri Ramakrishna. He came to beat him. After coming in contact with Sri Ramakrishna, by the touch of that villain, the rowdy, the bandit, became a saint afterwards. Just a touch, presence. See now, you can see him. He charmed them, fascinated them. Even materialistic people who came to scoff became dumb in his presence. But how can such persons feel? Now, the question of Paul Brunton was, because he was Western oriented, he's telling, how can such persons who are materialistic and who are non-believers feel reverence for spirituality, a quality in which they do not believe? Now, Paul Brunton is telling, I interpose slightly, puzzled to Master Mahashaya. The corners, see that explanation. The corners of Master Mahashayam's mouth pull up in half smile. So beautiful explanation. So you should imagine the corners of Mahashay's mouth pull up in a half smile. He answers. See the beautiful example he gives. Two persons taste red pepper. Imagine it. Two persons taste red pepper. One does not know its name. He has not seen it any time. Perhaps he has never seen it before. The other is well acquainted with it and recognizes it immediately. Will it not taste the same to both? Will it make a difference? Whether he knows it or not, the chili will be hot. Likewise, whether you are a non-believer of God or you do not know spirituality, you are materialistically oriented or you are a believer in God, just like the chili tastes hot, the presence of Sri Ramakrishna's burning spirituality will taste sweet. Whether you are that or this, because all of you have that Atman or God within you. How can you escape? No chance of escape. The Lord exists in all of you. That is enough. That is a saving factor. Will not both of them have a burning sensation of the tongue? In the same way, ignorance of Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual greatness did not debar materialistic person from tasting the radiant influence of spirituality which emanated from him. Then he really was a spiritual superman. Ramakrishna was really a spiritual superman. Yes. And in my belief, even more than that, answers M. Ramakrishna was a simple man. He was humble in appearance and humbler still in mode of living, yet he commanded the allegiance of some of the best educated and most cultured men of the time in India. They had to bow down before his tremendous spirituality, which was so real that it could be felt. He taught us that pride, riches, wealth, worldly honors, worldly position are trivialities in comparison with spirituality. They are fleeting illusions which deceive men and women. They make you forget God. Those were divine, wonderful days. Often he would pass into trances, samadhi, the highest spiritual state of so palpably divine a nature that we who were gathered around him then would feel that he was a God rather than a man. Strangely too, he possessed the power of inducing a similar state in his disciples by means of a single touch. In this state, they could understand the deep mysteries of God by means of direct perception. But let me tell you how he affected me, Mahendranath is telling. That was true. Symbolically speaking, I had never enjoyed such blissful experience as when I was in the presence of Sri Ramakrishna. So can you wonder why I came again and again to him? And so I became one of his group of intimate disciples, as distinguished from merely occasional visitors. One day, the master said to me, I can see from the signs of your eyes, the eyebrows and the face that you are a yogi. He told it to him. Do all your work then, but keep your mind on God. Yes, you have entered the family. Don't worry. Do all the work of the family. Look after your family, but keep your mind on God. Wife, children, father, mother, live with all and serve them as if they are your own. Another beautiful example. Then it was the example of maidservant. Now another example. The tortoise swims about in the sea water and or in the lake, but her mind is fixed where her eggs are laid on the banks. So do all the work of the world, but keep the mind in God. And so after the passing away of our master, when most of the other disciples voluntarily renounced the world, adopted the yellow robe or sannyasa, and trained themselves to spread Sri Ramakrishna's message through India, Master Mahasaya is telling, I did not give up my profession as a teacher, but carried on with my work in education. Nevertheless, such was my determination not to be of the world, although I was in it. The boat should be in water, not water in the boat. The boat should be on water. Water should not be in the boat. You should be in the world, but world should not be within you. That's the teaching of Sri Ramakrishna. So he's telling, I did not give up my profession, my work, my family, carried on with my education. Nevertheless, such was my determination because of the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, not to be of the world, although I was in it. That on some nights I would retire. See the practice he puts into practice. At dead of the night to the open veranda before the Senate House and sleep amongst the homeless beggars of the city, who usually collected there to spend the night, poor people, the beggars. He used to go. He was a teacher, he was a professor. Now in the night, dead of the night, he used to go and sleep with the beggars. Why? We are beggars here. Come here temporarily. That's all. This is not our, this world is not ours. To feel that. And sleep among the homeless beggars of the city who usually collected there to spend the night. This used to make me feel temporarily, at least, that I was a man with no possessions. Mahashay M finishes his long recital and relapses into silence. As I look at his face anew, Paul Brunton is telling, I'm struck by the non-Hindu color and cast of his face again, as wafted back to the little kingdom in Asia Minor, where the children of Israel find a temporary respite from their hard fortunes. He looked like Jesus Christ. I picture Mahashay, Paul Brunton, who was a Christian, is telling that I picture Mahashay among them as a venerable prophet speaking to his people. How noble and dignified the man looks. His goodness, honesty, virtue, piety, and sincerity are transparent. He possesses that self-respect of a man who has lived a long life in utter obedience to the voice of conscience and his guru. I wonder what Ramakrishna would say to a man who cannot live by faith alone, who must satisfy reason and intellect. I murmur questioningly. He would tell the man to pray. Prayer is a tremendous force. Ramakrishna himself prayed to God to send him to spirituality inclined people. And soon after that, those who later became his disciple or devotees began to appear. But if one has never prayed, what then? Prayer is the last resort. It is the ultimate resource left to man. Prayer will help a man where the intellect may fail. When our last evening comes, I forget the passage of time as I sit happily at his side upon the divan. Hour after hour has flown by. Our talk has no interlude of silence, but at length it comes, and then the good master takes my hand and leads me out to the terraced roof of his house, where in the vivid moonlight I see a circling array of tall plants growing in pots and tubs. The moon is at its full. Mahashay points out towards its round face and then passes into silent prayer for a brief while. I wait patiently at his side until he finishes. He turns, raises his hands in benediction, and lightly touches my head. I bow humbly before this angelic man, unreligious though I am. After a few more moments of continued silence, he says softly, my task has almost come to an end. This body has nearly finished what God sent it here to do. Accept my blessings before you go. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.